you today. To our dignitaries representing the region, including the cities of Colonial Heights, Hopewell, and Petersburg, and the counties of Dinwiddie, Prince George, Chesterfield, Sussex, and Surrey. Also want to welcome Brigadier General John O'Neill, 4th Commandant, USA Quartermaster School, Fort Lee, representing the United States military, and Lieutenant Colonel Alan P. Hoff, British Exchange Officer, Capabilities Branch Sustainment Battle Lab, CASCOM, Fort Lee, representing British forces, who will deliver respectively two components of this commemoration. The first conveying a brief history of the Battle of Petersburg, and the second, a eulogy for British Major General William Phillips, whose death occurred in Petersburg in May 1781. To the daughters and sons of the American Revolution, to the attending descendants of John Bannister, one of America's founding fathers and builder of this historic property, Battersea. To the dedicated and enthusiastic reenactors and the public who have come to enjoy this 18th century experience, and to our Fort Lee family as guests and participants who have helped make this event a reality. We also extend our greetings to our Delegate Rosalind Dance.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Delegate Dance, distinguished guests and visitors. I just really want to say thank you for the opportunity to be here today. There's no place I'd rather be, and it's just a thrill to be able to participate and share in the moment. I asked a couple of troopers to join us here this morning, as you can tell, and because I really believe in the historical significance that a soldier has to have that touchstone to the past, to know where they came from, to understand and have an appreciation and an association with those that wore the uniform before them. And that's an important part of our training and leader development as soldiers today. Interestingly, the events on this key terrain, this battlefield, took place about 6 years after our Army was formed and about 6 years before the signing of our U.S. Constitution. And so to be here and share in the moment, it's of significance to myself and also to these great American troopers here. Would you please join me in a round of applause to recognize these young Americans at the very beginning of their journey in the Army. Somewhere in this city, in places yet unknown, lie the remains of both Virginia militiamen and British soldiers who gave their lives in service to their respective countries 233 years ago this month. As morning dawned on the 25th of April, 1781, 4 regiments of Muhlenberg's Virginia militia formed 2 lines of defense on the eastern edges of Petersburg and the village of Blandford. At sunset the previous evening, Major General William Phillips, his force of 2,500 British and Hessian soldiers, had landed at City Point with Petersburg as their prime objective. Petersburg serving as a military depot for both state and continental forces. Around midday, the 2 armies met in mortal combat for more than 3 hours. While heavily outnumbered, the Virginians valiantly contested the capture of Petersburg until the overwhelming numbers and firepower of the British Army forced their subsequent retreat across the Appomattox River and into Chesterfield County. In the following 3 weeks, the area between Petersburg and Richmond became the battleground for the Americans and British, each fighting for their individual causes. On the 9th of May, the British Army once again occupied Petersburg. On May 10th, they were bombarded by Continental Army artillery. And on May 13th, Major General William Phillips, commander of the combined British forces in Virginia, died of a virulent fever as shells from Lafayette's guns burst nearby. just 6 months later in Yorktown, Virginia, where the United States of America ultimately achieved its freedom. And in the subsequent 233 years have fostered one of the greatest nations on earth, perpetuated man's never-ending quest for freedom, and brought about a unique and ever-binding friendship between the then-entrenched cousins of the American Revolution, the United States of America and the United Kingdom. Hereby be it known that this weekend-long event on April 19th and 20th, 2014 commemorates the 233rd anniversary of the 1781 Battle of Petersburg.
Honored guests, ladies and gentlemen, it's an honour to be here to represent the British Army on this historical event and to mark our rich history that is both our past and, I hope, our long-term future. A eulogy for Major General William Phillips from the Royal Artillery. Born a commoner without the usual political or family influence, he was a son and grandson of a career soldier and one of very few British officers of his time who rose to the rank of general by his ability alone. At the age of 16, he entered the Royal Military Academy at Woolwich and later joined the Royal Artillery. His service at the Battle of Minden in Germany led to his reputation as an excellent officer. Following the 7 Years' War, he served as a command of artillery at Woolwich and as Lieutenant Governor to Windsor Castle. As well, he was elected as a Member of Parliament. In 1775, when hostilities broke out with the American colonies, Phillips was sent to Canada to command all artillery in that province. Always displaying the greatest courage and leadership, he was subsequently promoted to Major General in 1776 and assigned as Deputy Commander to Lieutenant General Burgoyne's campaign that resulted in the disastrous battles and surrender of the British Army in Saratoga in 1777. After Burgoyne was returned to Britain, General Phillips inherited command of the Convention Army, which was held near Albemarle Barracks in Charlottesville, Virginia. During his captivity, General Phillips and his fellow officers were frequent guests at Monticello, home of Thomas Jefferson, when then Governor of Virginia. In 1780, Major General Phillips was exchanged for American General Benjamin Lincoln and returned to active duty. His first instructions were to support Lieutenant General Lord Cornwallis's operation in North Carolina by destroying the American logistics lines through central Virginia. Phillips successfully accomplished this mission with the same diligence and resourcefulness that characterized his entire 35 years of service to the Crown. Tragically, 2 weeks following this campaign and victory over the Virginia militia in the Battle of Petersburg, Phillips fell ill with a violent fever and relinquished command of his troops to his second-in-command, Brigadier General Benedict Arnold. On the 13th of May 1781, Major General Phillips died at Bolingbroke, the Petersburg home of Mrs. Bolling. Later that night, he was buried by his loyal troops in an unmarked grave somewhere in Blandford Churchyard. Major General Phillips' abilities gained him the highest regard from his contemporaries. Thomas Jefferson described him as the proudest man of the proudest nation on earth. Most certainly, William Phillips was, as Captain Johann Ewald of the German Jaegers described him, an officer worthy of commanding men. He drove everyone zealously to his duty, but he was the most pleasant, unselfish, and courteous man in the world. In 1914, Francis Bland Randolph chapter of the Daughters of the American Revolution erected a cenotaph to his memory near the south door of Blandford Church, which I know is high praise indeed.
Good morning. It has been my honor to come annually to participate in this recognition, remembrance, and act. Revolution. Please present. In memory of tribute to United States and British troops presented by Brigadier General O'Neill and Lieutenant Colonel Huff. Please present. And now may the parade drill of all reenactor units for the speakers and the mayor proceed.